Hi guys, this is going to be a commentary video for a finals match that happened quite a few weeks ago. The meta hasn't shifted because there hasn't been any new card release. So it should be typically the same meta. We have two high caliber kid players here playing each other. So we'll try to start the commentary off soon once they start their game off. It's going to be pretty hard to narrate or commentate on these two players because there's a lot of things going on. Um, but it's typically the idea is that between these two players or between these two matchups, board control is the idea here. So we'll see what happens in the final. Let's see if I can get it started here. Okay, so the player on the left decides to go first, so he's choosing to attack first, but have one less card. I don't believe they have their life out, or they're deciding on the mulligan step. Yeah, so choose to have the mulligan. A cool thing to take note about is when you're going first, you're basically the first one to get to 3 dawns, and if you are going second, you're the first one to get every even number after so on and so. This means that when you make your deck, you should cater what's going to be played on turn 1, what's going to be played on turn 2. So on the left side, we see a Momoshira variant, which is a different variant than normal because this one is more Land of the Wano variant. So you can kind of confer that by this first turn play. The second turn player decides to play a killer on turn 2. Most likely they're not going to be being block the attack. But he does decide to proc the block with Neko main. But if he had kept this alive on turn 3, he can play Aikiku to protect it if Nico main came down. So he uses the 3 energy to play Nico main and Capone. So now the restarts happen. He puts 1 energy or 1 dot underneath, and he swings for 6. And instead of blocking out, he takes the damage. So Aikiko is really good in the mirror match, only because it can rest blockers and rest. It just normally it rests blockers, so it goes after like if this was a Bonnie, for example, both the leader and Aikiko can go after the Bonnie, resting the blockers. So a really good stellar turn 2 play. So it goes up to 5. So 5 is an interesting territory. Knowing that he has Aikiku on board to rest his blocker, he has to kind of like develop something to rest the Aikiku, and that's either an Izo. Izo is the 2K combo, or another Nico main. So he doesn't know if he has it or not, but we'll see if he plays it. And looking at his hand, he has a killer in hand. So if he can find a way to rest her and play the killer to kill the Aikiku, he'll be at a better advantage. So when he started his turn 3, he was hoping that the beige can protect the Momo, because the Momo can generate him advantage every turn if he can keep it alive. We're going to speed this up a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, so he decides to put 2 down underneath the kid. So normally you want to swing in for 7 as a magic number because 7 is forcing your opponent to discard 2 from their hand to stop the attack. But if it was a 6 right? Let's say he puts 1 underneath the kid. It telegraphs that he doesn't want him to take the damage, but rather he wants him to waste cards out of his hand. So hitting for 7 actually makes it so that your opponent's comfortable with taking the damage, and if he's hitting for 6, then he's comfortable with discarding a 2k. So that's the idea. 6 makes you discard, 7 makes you take the damage, early game anyways. Okay, so he gets a Punk Gibson off the trigger, which is pretty unlikely to happen, but it rests any characters. So now he's deciding whether he wants to rest the, yeah. So he decides to rest the Momo because resting the blocker can be done by here anyways. So better to shut off the +1 here by resting it. Now with 3 Dons open, he can play his Aikiku, but I wouldn't suggest he plays it because this Aikiku can rest that Aikiku, and then this leader can go after it. So it's really about board control in the mirror match. Okay, so he plays a Raizo. Just like Aikiku, playing the Aikiku in the Raizo is this is just basically a bait for him to go after instead of it going for the life. Because Raizo threatens a +1 by just existing here, and so he's most likely going to put a Don underneath Aikiku, attack, resting the. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. So there is a obstacle. If he does decide to rest the Raizo, the beige can block. So he has a lot of targets here. It's a lot of there's a lot of potential advantage if he ignores the board and tries to go after the life. So he has to tackle the board. With 6 Don, he can play his big threats as well. But it looks like he's going to go for board control here. I did see a lion in his hand. Okay, so he play the lion and he rests the blocker. So now it's more of a solid thing to be able to rest things. Yeah. Okay. And now he swings after the Raizo. And now he has to throw. So the player on the right side only is swung in for 5 without putting any Dons underneath, because he wants to telegraph that he's going to restand the leader in the event that he discards a card to protect this discard a 2k combo. So in this event, he wants him to throw away this card. Okay, so he does decide to do it. So the left turn player decides to discard a card, and he wants him to rest 3 in order to restand him. But there's also the killer, the 3-drop killer, to kill this as well. So it's actually not a good idea to waste the combo there. So he's inviting him to attack the Raizo or kill it with killer. Okay, so instead he decides to develop instead of restand this guy. Okay, so now that Raizo's alive, it actually makes it so that he can attach a Don to it, and then actually he doesn't have to attach any Don to it, but he should, and swing over here to gain a +2. So it's tricky for sure. But now that this is back in active mode, it's actually pressured. It's pressuring him to like clear the Raizo again. But now that there's a second Aikiku, he can actually rest the blocker and then go after the Raizo again. Okay, and so instead of committing to the Dawn abilities, he decides to just swing in 5 to here without committing much Dawn to the exchange. And he wants to, and he's doing this so he could force a 1k counter out of his hand. So he just lets it die. So him letting in this die is telegraphing that he wants to be attacked. And this instance, I would develop a Basil Hawkins because right now he doesn't have anything threatening except for this Aikiku. So placing like a Basil Hawkins or a Trifulgur here is actually pretty good. Trifulgur bouncing the Nico main to rest her is actually pretty good as well. And he's about at, I believe he has 7 now, yeah. Okay, so he takes the damage by putting that underneath, and he wants to draw a card. Okay. So it looks like he's not going to play Trifulgur here. Either he most likely didn't draw it. But with doing this move, makes it so that he's wasting Dawn and less for development. Usually I would not do this, but since he most likely didn't draw something big to capitalize off the small attackers. He's going for this route, the +1 route. What I would have done differently here is probably swing with Raizo first. Oh no, actually that's impossible. You need to have 2 characters to draw a card. So yeah, he had to do it this order. Okay, so he's paying 3 to play another Aikiku, I'm assuming? No, he's playing another Raizo, okay. So he's going for the value play. So let's think about it. So Aikiku can attack, resting Capone, and then go after him. And this is before even committing anything. Okay, so he goes for the Trifulgur play here, which is interesting. I think he might... Oh yeah, I see. So he wants to bring back the line to rest the Capone here. So this way, when he swings with Aikiku, he can rest the Raizo. Okay, so instead he decides to rest the Raizo right away. Same result. It's the same result. The only difference is this play is actually better because you can rest the Raizo and then go after it, as opposed to attacking this and resting this. Okay, so he swings after it, and that's hitting for 6 to the Raizo, which forces a 2K combo. And then now he has the leader swing into the Raizo here. And since he really wants Raizo gone, most likely he's going to put a Dawn underneath the kid to hit for 6. Or hit for 7. That'll work too. Because Raizo's generating him a +1 every turn. Now that Kiku is out there, in rest mode, it's now vulnerable to attack, but he has Trifulgur to block it. And Trifulgur can block here, and then he can just combo a 1K to protect it. And then, but the only issue is that he can restand the kid to swing after the Trifulgur. So it depends on which he values more. I'm guessing he's going to value the Akiku more, but I'm not too sure. Because Aikiku can rest blockers and other things, but she's done a lot of her job pretty well. So it looks like he has a Scratch Mid Oppo, which is a 2K counter. Okay, so he lets her die. Okay. Now he's tapping out to play 7-drop. Pretty good. I'm not sure what he does here, but I think he has 10 mana now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, he has 10. So this is a prime time for him to play the 8-drop. And the 8-drop would be protected with this. And he would have the Dawn to put the card underneath the 8-drop. And then he can rest it and play another blocker. So that's a very stereotypical play. So this way he can back the 8 drop with 2 blockers if he has it. Okay, so it looks like he decides to go for this play instead, which is still good because this 8k going after this and blocking, he's probably just going to block with his Capone. There's a lot of lines of play here. Okay, so he gets to go for life and he plays a 7 drop, okay. So most likely he didn't draw his 8 drop and he decides to play the 7 drop before the 8 drop. Because this way he can has 2 blockers to stop the 8 drop from being attacked by a big guy. I'm trying to see if he has the 8 drop in hand, but I can't tell. In the event he does, it's still a good line of play, I guess. Looks like he has a Paradise Waterfall in hand. Okay, so he swings for 5. And so this is kind of the thing, right? So he has 2 blockers, right, that are over 5k. And if he chooses to rest or chooses to block any of them, this guy can go after it and then clear the board. So the name of the game here is board control. And if he swings in, since he's swinging leader to leader, all he has to do is throw a 1k, but he does have 4 cards in hand. Okay, so he doesn't decide to just throw a 1k out and then keep it at 3 cards. So now this would be the time to put the 1k underneath this so that he can restand and then swing for 8. Because he'll restand anyways. Looks like he decides to go for the 8 drop. Okay. And then this is where he has 2 blockers. So he puts 1 dot underneath it. There's also the consideration to keep this in active mode and not rest it, if he wants more resource to defend it. Okay, so he decides to do that move. And he's going to rest it to play something. 3 drop character, I believe. So he definitely has the hand advantage. Okay, so he starts to use his ability to play out another component. So now this is a pretty stereotypical board, having 3 blockers to back up the kid. It looks like he decides against doing it, but he's already revealed the Capone, which means that he has 1 card that's a 0k. So he commits to the play after showing the card. Very strange. Okay, so I expected him to actually swing in with this, but since we know that he has Paradise Waterfall, he probably wants to restand this using this energy as opposed to blocking all 3. So this character is going to be the first of the Protect the Castle strategy. So now all his characters have to go after this card as opposed to the leader. So we're reached the late game now, where everybody has max dons, and now he attaches, I believe, was it 5? Okay, so he's going. So he's going for the magic numbers, which is always 2 above the card. Now he's gonna go after here, and he can easily block with one of the components here. Okay, blocks with the Capone. Finally something I can predict, because these are really high caliber plays, because this is about board control, so they're going to do things that are off, that are slightly off what is conventional, and it's going to be harder to predict, so which is what I anticipate from 2 high caliber players. So here he has the option of restanding by tapping 3, and then going after the kid again. And which he does. Oh, looks like he drew two cop. Well, it looks like he's abandoning this strategy to go for this move instead. And again, he can just simply block. Yeah. And now he puts one down underneath, and now he goes for eight. And most likely he's gonna block with here, or no, he doesn't actually have to. He just has to combo out. So he plays Paradise Waterfall, go up to 10. Strange that he. Oh no, he didn't have to. If he swung in with Trifulgur here, he could just block with here. So yeah, it makes sense that he passed. Okay, he puts Dawn underneath him right away. I can't predict this next move, but I'm guessing it's gonna be he's gonna swing in with the kid first for 9, and that's gonna hit all the two above 7. This is already above like by 2, so most likely he's gonna swing with him first. I think he's pensive about attacking with these two guys because that would give him more cards. And the name of the game is Resource. Okay, so he started singing with the 8 drop first. Okay. I'm not sure why he swung with this first. I can't think of a reason why. Maybe he wants to force a Punk Gibson on this, or I'm not too sure. Oh, I see why. I see why. So he swung in with 8 in the event that he wants to block with one of these, so the 8 drop can go after the rest of the battle card that after it blocks, and it's going to be a lot bigger. So now he's going to swing in this order. Okay, so he takes an extra card, getting pretty close. So with 8 Dawns open, now he can develop more threats or something that would give him an advantage. It would be best if he had the Bonnie here, because the Bonnie would actually be protected by this kid. Bonnie or Momo. Any of your searchers, basically. Okay, it looks like he's going to go for the aggro play. Normally, you want to get your opponent down to 1, but because at this range is when the kid becomes really good at taking cards out of your opponent's hand. And now he's hitting for 9 on the leader. Okay, so he takes the damage. Wow, so he's actually at no damage. So now he decides to restand the leader, and then now he's gonna swing in for 9 again, forcing one of these to block or forcing him to combo. So he does block. Okay. So now this kid, this at this point in time, he has to either waste a lot of cards to defend him, or he can let it die. Because this can attack twice with several Dawns underneath it, and this can hit for 8 with just putting 1 Dawn underneath. And I think he wants to waste cards out of his hand, if I had to guess. So he's gonna make it so that it's like easy to. He's hitting for 10 here. Okay, so he actually wants it going. Okay, so he lets it die without blocking, which kind of telegraphs that he doesn't have much to defend it. Okay, so with the hand advantage now, he can probably swing in. Probably gonna be, well, I don't know if he's gonna put 9 or develop. Interesting. Okay, so he's swinging in for 5 here, hoping he would block. Because if he did block, I guess Nico Main can go in after this one. Or he can just restand this, but that's a lot of cards to commit to. Looks like he has a Capone in hand. Yeah, I have no idea what he's gonna do next. Okay, so he plays the Trifolger. Gonna bounce play Capone. Okay, so keep the line up in case he has another blocker coming up. Definitely a lot of recycling for sure. So he leaves the Dawn underneath here, which is kind of interesting because it kind of telegraphs to your opponent that you're going to attack with him first. But he was going to do it anyways. So he hits for 8, and if he chooses to block with this, he has to force a 2k. So he's going for resource. Yeah, it's unfortunate for the left kid player that he didn't draw Bonnie at all because he would have generated a lot of advantage to that Bonnie when he had the 8-drop kid. Actually, the guy on the right didn't draw Bonnie either, so this was a Bonnie-less game. Now that I think about it. Not your normal place. He decides to play Punk Gibson, paying 2, and comboing out of the attack. So that's +4, I believe. So it looks like he might throw all this underneath the kid leader, and because he left 3 open, so it kind of telegraphs how he's going to conduct his move. He's debating on whether he wants to put all underneath this leader, swing, and to force these blocks. But I think he decides against it. Or at least that's what I would do. It would pressure the board a little bit. Putting like how many dawns is this? This is 1, 4, that's 6 dawns right here. So he can put 6 going up to 11, and that would force a Capone. And I think that's why he decided against it, was because Capone can just take the 8. But if he restands his leader and attack for another 11, he can just block here, and then it wouldn't be so much lethal. Yeah, so say if he blocks here, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 damage, and that can actually clear him. But he has a blocker, so it's kind of interesting that he decided against this play. Okay, so he actually goes for... Okay, cool. So he's actually committing to that play. Oh, no, I guess he switches mine. Another thing that he might have feared why he might not commit to this play is that if he blocks with Capone and he blocks with him, then he's afraid that maybe he has like what's it, 1, 2, 3. He might have the Trifolger that restands something and swing again. So he's kind of telegraphing that he doesn't have much. But I don't know. This is kind of strange. This is a very difficult situation for sure. But if I was in his shoes, I'd probably press him. Press him to block the attack. Okay, so he goes for an easier an easier damage. He's trying to go for resource here. So he decides to combo the 6 and then combo here. And so this is a really tough spot for him because now the Capone hasn't been used at all, and he still has to deal with it next turn. And since neither of the player are drawing either Bonnie or not Bonnie, yeah Bonnie, they're not going to draw their a way to deal with this guy. Okay, so he's going to swing in for 9 here, taking the damage. So he's switching up his style now. So he's swinging in with the biggest one first, as opposed to attacking with their smaller one first to force the block. Because even though he's behind, he's trying to go for a resource still. Okay, so he's swinging in for 9 here. Doesn't block, so I think he might have decided to go for... Okay, so he's in the same position as he was before, with only less cards and less life. But the only difference is he has more cards in hand because he took cards from his life. So maybe he was hoping for a cat to rest the Capone. Okay, so he's swinging for 9. Okay, he blocks 7 to 9. Decides to go Paradise Waterfall to restand the blocker and then throw a 10k in. Okay, so now he has to deal with another blocker. So now he's definitely smoked out because now if he decides to do the committed play, he has to deal with 2 blockers, and now he has less life to deal with these 4 attacks. Actually, it wouldn't be 4 because if you put 6 underneath, well 8. So 2, 8, and then 3 to open. So if he puts 5 underneath here to swing for 10, then he can block here and block here to restand, and then he would have to deal with 3 damage. So 1, 2, 3 with the 1 blocker. That's lethal, unless he has a big hand. Yeah, because he was in a better position to commit to the attack last turn. Now that it's this turn, he's not in a position to do that because now he only has 1 life. So now he has to play defense again. Okay, but he's going for the 7. He finally gives up the Capone. And had he done the committed play last turn, Capone wouldn't even be there. So the 7 would have gone into either the Trifulgur or the 7-drop to waste cards out of his hand. Okay, so now he has to play defense. Oh, he restands? Yeah. And killer. Okay. So the killer move basically makes sure that he survives. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4 attacks. 1, 2. Yeah, it wouldn't be enough. He only has 2 blockers. Okay, and then now he has even less blockers. Okay, so now, yeah, it's pretty solved. With 3 cards in hand, he can just hit for the magic numbers for 7, forcing 2 cards out. Okay, he swings for 8 because he's going to restand anyways. Does Paradise to restand. Okay, so that is one thing. So he did keep 1 energy or 1 Dawn open. So that Paradise Waterfall actually acts as a blocker. So what I think he should have done was make this a 9k Yeah, 9k so that he forces 2 cards out of his hand. Gonna swing for 8 here. So he swings with the leader first. Maybe to bait out this block, but I'm not too sure. Okay, so he takes the damage here. So now, I mean, if he restands with 4 cards, is it 4 cards? No, it looks like it's 3 cards. Now he's counting. So if it's 3 cards and they're all 2Ks, he can go up to 11. So I think he checks the drop so he can count the amount of 2Ks left in the deck. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting position, but it seems pretty solid. 3 cards, 2K, goes up to 6. He might throw a Dawn underneath Trifulgar here to force the... No, that's a tough one too. To say he goes up to 7, he can easily... Well, he could throw 2 cards in the mix, and then if he restands and he attacks, I'm pretty sure he can block that last attack. Yeah, and then this would die if they swing in for 8 here, unless that's a 2K. But then he has a blocker. So I think the consideration here is if he swings with him, he would have 1 less blocker, and that's kind of a tough position for him. But I mean, if he doesn't swing, right, then he has to deal with the blocker attack and 2 attacks from him, and he only has 2 blockers anyway, right? So this board right here is already presenting lethal. Yeah. So this is where he has to commit to doing the play, where he has to swing in for restand and attack, and then attack for 7. Yeah. So I mean, he's pretty much backed in the corner here. He has to attack. It's up to him to realize that he has to attack. Because this is 3 damage, and he only has 2 blockers. Yeah, so he had nothing. Okay, so this is basically what yeah. So honestly, I think this player should have had it had he done that move where he committed to the play. But since he gave him a little wiggle room, where he could clap back, it essentially led down to the point where the board he developed was threatening lethal, and it pressured him into doing the play where he has to attack with Trifulgar. But if it wasn't lethal, he probably would have left it inactive and extending the game further. But it's tough. Yeah, that was a crazy game for sure. It was very close. It could have gone either way, but definitely if the yellow jacket did the commitment play, he would have a lot less threats on the board than he already did. Capone would have been wasted on that attack, and then he would have to block with one of his attackers for sure. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was a lot. It was very analytical. I know I can get pretty what's the word, pedantic about stuff, but I mean that's why the video is here, is for educational purposes. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.